Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and on tonight's show, there's a new report that the Steelers were the ones to say no to Scott Tolzien, not the other way like it was originally reported. I'll talk about that at the top of the show. Then we'll get into Cam Heyward, who was in San Francisco today at Radio Row, talking to a bunch of different people about his future, and something tells me he's going to be coming back in 2026. Then we'll get into DK Metcalf, who is getting sued by the fan he had the interaction with in Detroit at the end of the season. I'll let you guys know the details towards the end, so make sure you guys stick around. But I just want to let you guys know that we have an awesome new merch opportunity here on Steelers Talk. The initial response last week, guys, was absolutely fantastic. A bunch of you bought stuff from our Married Into This collection, and I just wanted to kind of bring it back to your attention here this week, because you're really going to want to make an order here if you want to make this happen and get it to your doorstep before Valentine's Day. Whether it's a black sweatshirt, whether it's a white sweatshirt. I prefer the black one with the gold lettering. I just think that one screams Pittsburgh. But if you want to get something for your significant other that is Steelers related, and you guys want to take advantage of this merch opportunity that we have for you guys here today, you guys can get the white or black sweatshirt, or we also have white ladies t-shirts that are also available for you guys to get on our website right now. I helped design this stuff with our design team here at Chat Sports and put a lot of love into this, and we can put more opportunities out there in the future for St. Patrick's Day and 4th of July and the draft and all this different stuff coming up in the weeks and months to come here on Steelers Talk. So the stuff that we use is super comfortable, and it's made with really good materials that will last you guys a very long time. We finally found a partner for our merch that is absolutely fantastic, and we're very proud to partner with. So if this does well, guys, we can do more merch opportunities here on Steelers Talk, but we got to prove to our bosses that this stuff can sell and that this is going to do some good stuff for our channel. So if you guys want to get something from our Married Into This collection, we have the link to that down in the comments and description of today's show. So let's get into the news of the day here. An interesting report from Mark Kaboly, the Steelers correspondent for the Pat McAfee Show, says that it was the Steelers that turned down Saints quarterbacks coach Scott Tolzien for their open offensive coordinator spot. Now, this contradicts with the reporting that we got from Jordan Schultz from Fox Sports, claiming that Tolzien was the one that took himself out of the running for this job. He said, sources, Saints quarterbacks coach Scott Tolzien plans to remain in New Orleans after interviewing for the Steelers OC job. He was viewed as a top candidate for the job, but will remain with Kellen Moore to continue developing Tyler Shuck. So this makes it sound like it was Tolzien's decision to step away from the Steelers OC process. Also, Schultz put out there that the Saints tight ends coach that the Steelers interviewed for their pass game coordinator spot, Chase Haslett, also decided not to take the Steelers job. And, he says that I'm told this is Haslett's decision, a fast rising coach to watch moving forward in upcoming cycles. That definitely sounds like agent speak to me. And that was definitely confirmed by Mark Kaboly today on his podcast, saying this: Tolzien didn't turn the Steelers down. Neither one of them did. They were told they weren't getting the job. There's no such thing as removing my name from consideration. They were told, see ya, you're not getting the job. Haslett never had a chance, zero. That was an agent through a person who just wanted to get a name out there. Zero chance. Don't even look at that. Tolzien, he was probably informed today that they were going in a different direction. Trust me on this one, okay? And, keep in mind that agents do sell scoops to these reporters like Jordan Schultz and Tom Pelissero and Adam Schefter for certain spin on the people that they represent. So, I'm sure these, whoever represents Tolzien and Haslett was like, hey, we'll give you this scoop if you'll spin it in the direction that we want. And, the reporters agreed to do that. So at least according to Kaboly and his sources, the Steelers were actually the one to reject Scott Tolzien for the offensive coordinator job. And now it seems like the Pittsburgh Steelers are honing in on Brian Angelico, the Vikings tight ends coach and pass game coordinator, to be their next offensive coordinator. He visited Pittsburgh today. At the time of me recording this video, we don't have official word that he's going to be the next offensive coordinator of the Steelers. But if you guys want to get more details on Angelico and what he would bring to the table as the next Steelers offensive coordinator, we did a whole video on this earlier today, guys. I'll put the chip to that one in the top right if you want to check that one out. But Angelico Alico, definitely an interesting candidate for the OC position here in Pittsburgh. So who do you think turned down who? Do you think Scott Tolzien said no thank you to an upgrade at position here with the Pittsburgh Steelers as an OC, type ST? Or do you think it was the Pittsburgh Steelers that said no thanks to Scott Tolzien, type PS, if you think the Steelers were the ones to turn down Tolzien? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Prize Picks. While I tell you about our sponsor today, let me know the answer to today's pinned question down there in the comments. With that, let's have word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And guys, the big game in Santa Clara between the Seahawks and Patriots is almost here. And there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than with Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next year. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. This week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game live on the app right now. Drake May just needs one passing yard for the max discount to win. Just add another player to your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in. You guys can take a look here at my Prize Picks projection for the big game in Santa Clara on Sunday. I'm taking the more on Cooper Kupp receiving yards, the less on JSN's receiving yards, the less on Ramondre Stevenson's rushing yards. You guys can download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Now, Cam Heyward, a star defensive tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was making his rounds through Media Row there in San Francisco during Super Bowl week today, and he took a number of interviews, and, he definitely sounds like he wants to play in 2026 is the way that I would put it. He was asked by Colin Cowherd what makes him still want to play at his age, and this was his answer. He says, one, I think is trying to win a Super Bowl, having the opportunity to compete. That's why you play this game. Two, I think it's just instilling my legacy further. I feel like I still have more work to do on the field, off the field, and then continue to teach the younger guys. And keep in mind here, he's not talking in the past tense, he's talking in the present tense, talking about how he still has more that he wants to do as an NFL football player. He's also very complimentary of Mike McCarthy as well on the Jim Rome show, talking about how his brother was next door neighbors with Mike's brother all those years back, and all those different things, and how he loves Pittsburgh and how he loves that about him. But the question is, does Cam think that Pittsburgh has a shot next year? Because he has said that this is probably going to be his final contract of his career. He's only got 1 year left on his current deal. And if he doesn't think that Mike McCarthy can deliver a championship in year one here in Pittsburgh, why come back if you're Cam Heyward, right? Because why put your body through a whole nother season of agony, essentially, for what essentially would be nothing? It would be just another season in the career of Cam Heyward, and, it wouldn't end any other way. But if he feels like he can win a Super Bowl with Pittsburgh, with Mike McCarthy as his head coach next year, I think we will see Cam Heyward back. And with the way he's talking about McCarthy, it certainly seems like he has a high level of confidence in Big Mike. It's also possible that Cam Heyward and Aaron Rodgers are a package deal. Like maybe Cam only thinks that the Steelers can win a Super Bowl next year with Aaron Rodgers as their starting quarterback. And, if Rodgers retires, maybe Cam Heyward follows suit. That's certainly a possibility. And if Rodgers comes back, maybe, Cam is on the phone with Rodgers saying, hey, let's run this back one more year. Let's see what we can do with this new offensive-minded head coach and a new defensive mind, and Patrick Graham coming to town, not to mention. I have a feeling that both these guys will be back next year, and no matter what happens, Cam says he's going to be retiring a Steeler, and I appreciate that about Cam Heyward. So even if he decides not to come back this year, whatever, he's not going to demand a trade out of Pittsburgh or something like that. Like if he doesn't come back, it's not going to be to go to another team. It's going to be retirement or play for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026, and I appreciate that about Captain Cam Heyward. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will Cam play for the Steelers this season? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. If I had to guess, my answer would be yes, but I also think 2026 will probably be Cam Heyward's last. Now we get to DK Metcalf here, where he is now being sued by the Lions fan Ryan Kennedy that he interacted with in Detroit at the end of the season this year, and he's being sued for defamation and assault. DK's not the only one, by the way, that Kennedy is suing here. He's seeking $100 million, and he's alleging assault and defamation. He is suing not only Metcalf, but also the Steelers, Ford Field, and then several media companies. So obviously this is somebody that's trying to take advantage of an opportunity here, and he's probably seeking a settlement that can make him pretty darn rich. $100 million is the asking price. My guess is he won't get anywhere near that if he gets anything at all. And my take on this situation, guys, is good luck, pal. Like, the guy grabbed your wig and then threw you back in the stands, all right? Like, there's no major bodily harm to you. And, you know, by all accounts, like, you've been an agitator for many years, and a lot of people are indicating that, you know, you said the things that DK Metcalf said that you said when he was still playing with the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football, and they played the Lions a couple years ago. I mean, this is the guy that wears a backwards Lions hat to a press conference. Like, give me a break. This seems like an opportunistic lawsuit from somebody trying to get money from a professional football player, not to mention all these media companies and all that different stuff. And, you know, we'll see what happens, but I don't think Mr. Kennedy's going to get a whole lot of money from this lawsuit. Now, before I go, some final items for you guys, you know, that I want to end today's show with. We'll start with some bad news, which is that second-year cornerback Dante Kent, who was drafted in the 7th round by the Steelers last year, apparently tore his ACL in December, trying to get back to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, you know, the fact that that ACL tear happened in December, it's usually like a 9-month recovery period. He's not going to be ready to go for the start of the preseason. He's probably not going to be ready to go for the start of the regular season. Obviously, we're wishing Dante the best of luck, but as a 7th-round pick, he certainly has an uphill battle coming up against him, especially because it was a different regime, or at least a different head coach that ended up taking him in the 7th round last year. Now he joins guys like Corey Trice, who's also up against it with all the injuries that he's had throughout his young career as well. But then on a brighter note here, we actually got our first look at the NFL draft stage and setup at Acrisure Stadium when the NFL draft will be in Pittsburgh at the end of April this year. You guys can see there that on both sides of the stadium, the NFL is going to be setting up a bunch of festivities, all that different stuff. You can see the draft stage, what it's going to look like right there, right next to Acrisure Stadium. And I think that this is probably going to be a parking nightmare, guys, but it looks really good. Like, it really does. Like, the stage itself and, like, the screen looks like the Roberto Clemente Bridge. I don't know if you guys noticed that detail, but it's just filled with details that are so cool. Got the bright lights in there. I think it's going to be so cool to watch on television, or if you guys are going in person, it's going to be so fun. But, the stage and the festivities are being set up where the parking lot is at Acrisure Stadium. So I feel like this is going to be an absolute parking nightmare for the people that are trying to attend this thing, but it sure does look cool. I think it's going to be a really cool thing for the people of Pittsburgh and just NFL fans that are traveling across the world to experience. Pittsburgh is an awesome city, one of the nation's most underrated cities, in my opinion. And I think this opportunity to have the draft in Pittsburgh this year is going to really shed a light on Yinzer culture and all that great stuff as we approach the 2026 season. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Will you be attending the draft in Pittsburgh this year? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section to finish up today's show. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I'm going to have more content for you guys tomorrow. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Till next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.